sitting right out there.
Is it streaming on TBS? Is that why it's at 12:05? What's going on here?
That I thought about that, and by the way, that's a throwback comment. Some people may not.
Somebody on the
somebody doesn't even know
about that, or text in about that. Actually,
what was that about back in the day? So I remember being at Grandma's house in Chester, and was it just TBS or feels like the Family Channel or something? Maybe I don't know if that's a thing or if I just made it up, but they would start at like 12:05, 1:05, 2:05,
12:35.
It was always shifted. But I was wondering, is this an ode to the fact that all recruiting announcements start late? So they were just like, 12:05
instead of being late,
instead of noon. But what I'm guessing, I'm sure they're in school.
Is it around the bell schedule?
A bell schedule. Got to be, right?
Yeah,
it's probably lunchtime.
That's the answer.
He's got to go to the cafeteria, get his chicken tenders, and then come to the gym or the auditorium.
Or the principal was like, "We ain't doing this during class time. We're doing this during lunchtime."
Because bell schedules are so silly. This is right in my wheelhouse. Bell schedules are so silly. Whenever I was teaching, I used to have to appoint. My trick was I would appoint the person who wasn't paying attention anyway, and I would point them to tell me when the bell was going to ring. So it'd be like 1:37 or 1:43.
Okay, I have a very important question to ask you off of that.
Okay,
were you the bell doesn't dismiss you, I dismiss you type of teacher?
I gave up that fight gave up that ghost a long time. So what it is, and when you just see those, because my students were generally respectful and they were nice and pleasant, but they also still wanted to pack their stuff up. So they would be like, you could just see that sort of
the last 5 minutes of class don't exist.
You can just see them start to ease stuff into their backpacks as I'm still droning on about the Renaissance or something. They're like, all right, man, we appreciate it. It's time to move on.
I had a teacher that blocked the doorway one time and this was the class we had lunch in. So like the lunch bell rang and she wasn't done talking about what she's going to talk about. So she spreads herself out in front of the doorway. And we're like, lady, it's lunchtime.
That's a bad idea.
I mean, not that we have to go all the way down this rabbit hole, but I get where Teach is coming from, but doesn't the bell does?
Technically, it does.
You have to be at the next class.
The bell does dismiss.
Like that was a big thing. Hey, you're late. If you were late to your next class, I feel like that was a way of trying to teach the kids. Hey, you have a schedule. You have to keep it, and the next teacher doesn't care if Miss Smith was still talking about geometry. So the bell quite literally does dismiss. I never really got that.
Not only do you have to go to your next class, God forbid you have to go to your locker, which is on the other side of the school, and you have 5 minutes to do all that. Like, the bell does need to dismiss students.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
Now let's see if you can transition that into Joe Burrow.
I feel like Joe Burrow was that guy that was always fashionably late. And if he said he had to go somewhere, like, hey, I got to go do a thing, the teacher would be like, okay, Joe, have a nice day.
I got to go do a thing somewhere. I got to go see a man about a horse. Like, all right, Joe. Yeah, no problem. They'd be like, but you let Joe go. And but that's Joe.
They're like, that's Joe. He's been our starting quarterback for 6 years.
He's got his feet up on the desk. He's got his Letterman jacket on, got his sunglasses on. He's probably sleeping in the back of class. Still got an A.
Oh, he definitely got an A.
Yeah, he definitely does have the vibe of 80s movie jock.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, just jock one.
Yes.
Walking in the hallway.
What's up, nerd? Shove somebody into a locker.
Well, no, I was about to say, there are two ways guys like that can go. Do y'all think he was like the likable, like he's the most popular guy and he's so cool, but he also is like a good dude too? Or do y'all think he was the I'm too cool for all of you, like basically
he's you think he's one way, but then he gets in there and he's like really on the chess club, or he's really into gardening or something. And
he's the guy that like you think he's the dumb mean jock, but then you find out he volunteers at the animal shelter on Saturday mornings, that kind of thing.
He writes poetry.
Exactly. Like he's very deep. He's very personal.
But here's my hot take off of what Elmwood said.
All right.
I don't know if Joe Burrow is the best quarterback in the NFL, but I'm going to stand on the idea that he's a better athlete than Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, all right. Now we're getting somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about that, Wes?
I've been crusading the idea that Patrick Mahomes is not a dual threat. He's barely even a mobile quarterback. But I don't know how far I can go with this.
We're talking about the non-one-footed Patrick Mahomes, right?
Yeah, 100%.
The 100% Patrick Mahomes. I was okay. I'm not going to completely dismiss the idea because I do. Joe Burrow is definitely in the category of that guy is way more athletic than you think he is when you first watch him drop back. And he had some runs at LSU. But Burrow was kind of a dual threat guy at LSU. Now, he didn't always have to run the football. And they weren't calling design runs, probably because they didn't want him to get hit and they didn't have to call design runs. I don't think it's that far-fetched.
Okay.
I don't think you've convinced me yet, but I'm willing to have the conversation from my end. How about that? Like I would actually, I don't have it in front of me. I would like to know what the numbers say. If you go back and look at their 40s, their agility runs and all that stuff, because I bet Burrow's one of those guys that has way faster times than you would think.
So I'm pulling up the numbers here as far as stats go for this season. So in terms of athleticism, and obviously Patrick Mahomes threw for ridiculous amount of yards, 5,250 yards, 41 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. His rushing stats this season, he had 61 attempts for 358 yards and 4 touchdowns. On the flip side of that, Joe Burrow, threw for 44-75, 35 touchdowns.
He ran for like 250?
Ran for 257 yards on 75 attempts, so not as many yards per attempt, and he had 5 touchdowns. So the rushing numbers are actually kind of close.
And rushing numbers, I feel like for quarterbacks, it's kind of, I don't know if it tells you a whole lot. But I'm actually even more interested in your thought of where Burrow could be headed in the sort of hierarchy of NFL quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, we got to give that credit to Elwood. He the one that posed the question earlier, and as I stated last hour, it kind of messes me up because I think he might be on to something.
I just saw something, so I'm trying to get the combine numbers. NFL.com, like prospect profile from when he was coming out of school. They do a comparison for every guy. I feel like this is an awful comparison. Their NFL comparison for Joe Burrow was Kurt Warner.
No.
I don't see that at all. I mean, don't get me wrong, Kurt Warner, by the time he made it to the league, it's a great compliment. But
not a comp.
Yeah, Warner didn't run the ball at all, did he? He was like a old school statue quarterback.
I mean, if the lane was 3 miles wide and he could scramble for the first down, I mean, he would. But yeah, there was no designed runs for Kurt Warner.
No, I don't see that.
I don't see that at all. Both those guys, though, I think are the perfect example of your modern quarterback. In that it's not necessarily that you're gonna have 15 designed runs. It's the progression from, you have to throw the ball the same exact arm slot, the same exact way, the same exact technique every single time you throw the football, to it's okay to throw a sidearm. It's okay to underhand it. It's okay to throw it with your left hand in the case of Mahomes.
And I love that the NFL over the past, I'd say 5 to 6 years, has finally started to embrace winning college quarterbacks, because for the longest time, you'd have guys ridiculously athletic winning national championships or being on those great teams, but they didn't have the pro potential because they weren't statue quarterbacks that took snaps from under center that would drop back, and that's how, the Jay Cutlers of the world coming out of Vanderbilt and stuff like that, which he had a fine career, certainly, but now we're finally starting to get the Jalen Hurts. Kyler Murray got drafted by the Cardinals. Maybe that didn't work out so well, but you don't have to be 6'4" and a pocket passer to be an NFL quarterback anymore. And that's what, the conversation around Will Levis coming out of Kentucky. He's got the intangibles. He's got the measurements. He's going to make all the throws at his pro day that the scouts are going to be wowed by. But it's like, yeah, but Bryce Young was a better college quarterback. Why wouldn't you take him?
All of that is true. But what I'm wondering is if can you be a little dude and win the big ones and win in the playoffs?
Jalen Hurts is a couple wins away from it.
We're about to see. And
obviously for a guy like Bryce Young, he needs to get in there, bulk up some more, that kind of stuff, because he's a little guy. He's
see, even when you say that, there's sort of the thing about Bryce Young is that he's not tall and he's slight also.
Yeah,
so
right.
Jalen Hurts is thick. He think he can, and that's the thing with Tua. He's not very tall, and he's kind of the way he's built he's not built the same way as Jalen. So I wonder if those are conversations that you're thinking about when you're talking about Bryce Young, because he's not 6'5" and skinny, or he's not 6'1" and thick. He's kind of the combination of the two things you probably don't want in a quarterback. But as I said before, he was my favorite player to watch in college.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Fantastic player. And if you were asking me to bet right now who's going to have the better pro career, I'm going to put my money on Bryce Young. But again, Will Levis is going to get taken somewhere in the first round by a team that deems him that typical, prototypical NFL quarterback.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think teams are looking for, do you at least have the physical baseline ability to make the throws that you have to be an NFL quarterback? Because there is a finite number of people on the planet that can actually do that. So anytime they see a guy, and coaches are inherently confident and they believe in their abilities. If you're at that level, you have probably a little bit irrational belief in your ability, because you wouldn't have made it that far without being really good at what you do. And so I think coaches will see Levis, and and the scouts, the scout media guys are also sitting there. They know what NFL teams are looking for. They know what feedback they're hearing from teams. They're going to say, look, this guy has prototypical size, prototypical arm. He can make the throws. And then all it takes is a team to say, oh, I put him in my system. I can develop this guy into being what, teams get the starry eyes with the guys that can make the throws, I think. And I don't know if that will ever change. And so I think you have to have a baseline of being able to physically do it before they'll even consider spending, a first round draft pick on you. Now, there is a risk, obviously, with a guy like him, but I think, teams know how important it is to fill that quarterback spot with an elite guy. You're just not going to win.
Right.
There's like few little, I guess, examples here and there where teams have won without an elite quarterback. But for the most part, if you're going to be a winning franchise, a winning team over the course of multiple years, you have to have the elite quarterback. So teams will keep taking chances on them until they find that guy. And let's be honest, if he doesn't work out, they are also just as quick to be like, you're out, get the next one in. We're going to spend our next top 6 draft pick on you as well. So I think, maybe if your team even go in knowing there's a risk, but look at Allen with Buffalo. He was considered a major risk. And when he first got into the league, people were going, I don't know about this guy. But then we see he took the upside and actually developed towards it.
Right.
And has made himself one of the best QBs in the league.
Yeah, and I think the whatever system you're going into certainly plays a factor in that too. If not that the 49ers are going to draft another quarterback, but if Will Levis got picked up by Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers, like, okay, I feel like, maybe they could develop him to be what he needs to be serviceable in the NFL. But there are certainly other teams out there where that's not necessarily going to be the case. But I don't know. I'm really interested to see what happens when draft day rolls around. But, Will Levis is just kind of that guy that pops up every year as like, well, he didn't have a ton of success in college. He was fine at Kentucky, and they were a moderately good team for the time he was there. But it's like, we have CJ Stroud, Bryce Young, like these guys that were at the upper echelon of the college game. And it's like, are you going to pick him over them? It'd be interesting to see. So we'll continue this conversation on the other side as the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour rolls on. You're listening to 107.5 The Game.
This is Damon Amendolara with your CBS Sports Minute, sponsored by FanDuel Sportsbook. Patrick Mahomes is going to play. You need him on house arrest. to not partake in this football game, but is he effective? That's the question, because the Bengals defense is legit. Look how they strangled the life out of the explosive Bills attack. A hindered Mahomes will have his work cut out for him on Sunday. This is Damon Amendolara. The NFL playoffs are here, and the easiest way to get into the action is with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. New customers get started with $150 in free bets, guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Just sign up with promo code WIN. FanDuel has all your favorite bets, from the money line to point spreads to player props, all on an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. Place your first $5 bet to get $150 in free bets. Win or lose with promo code WIN. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL.
21 plus in select states. Must be present in select states to wager. First online real money wager only. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable free bets that expire in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbookfanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG. For Colorado, Iowa, Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Illinois, Virginia, West Virginia. 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT STEP to 53342. In Arizona, 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat. In Connecticut, 1-800-9-WITH-IT. In Indiana, 1-800-522-4700. Wyoming, Kansas, or visit ksgamblinghelp.com. 1-877-770-STOP. Louisiana, 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. 467-369 in New York. TN Redline, 1-800-889-9789 in Tennessee.
Winter is here, and is your old gas furnace just not keeping up with winter this year? Don't worry. AAA Heating and Air has got you taken care of. Give them a phone call today, 803-677-1500. You need to tell them Bill Gunner sent you. You can get a free estimate and discounts on qualifying furnace systems. That's right, 803-677-1500. Call AAA Heating and Air today. Tell them Bill Gunner sent you.
AAA Air when you need us. AAA Heating and Air.
This is for the men who never settle, the ones who miss the fairway all day and still pull out the big stick, the type of guys who will always prefer to be behind the grill than in front of the camera, and the men who never let their friends forget about a high school nickname. This is the Lodge mentality. This is Twin Peaks.
Who wants to settle for a single TV? With more TVs, bigger screens, plus our fabulous scenic views, there's more to watch at Twin Peaks.
May old car problems be forgotten in 2023. May all car problems be forgotten with a new car warranty.
Celebrate the new year in a new Kia from Galliana Kia on Greystone. With zero, nothing down, and 0 payments for the next 3 months. Plus, we'll take any trade regardless of condition. Even if you're over mileage, have months left, or still owe thousands. Worried about your credit? If you've got a job and you make at least $2,000 per month, our lenders can get you approved.
Gotta go to Galliana.
Galliana Kia on Greystone. I-126 Zoo exit in Columbia. Call 779-7300 or KiaColumbia.com. Real stock number 3K1107. 0 down, $270 per month for 84 months at 6.98 yield. Plus tax tag includes $225 closing. Then your trade equity financed and new loans subject to lender approval. Expires month end.
Locally owned Atlantic Windows and Doors has been making Columbia area homes more comfortable, attractive, weather-tight, and energy efficient for over 35 years. How? By distributing products from the best window and door manufacturers in the country. These products give you the best looks, the best quality, and the best value, all based on your specific needs. And everything is professionally installed by their dedicated and experienced employees, not subcontractors. Atlantic Windows and Doors. Visit them online at awdsc.com.
If you're thinking about retiring soon, be sure to tune in to Save Your Retirement with Pat Struby of Preservation Specialists. Join Pat as he talks about the latest trends and headlines that could impact your retirement. Don't go into retirement unprepared. Listen each Sunday morning at 10 to Save Your Retirement with Pat Struby of Preservation Specialists. Firm offers insurance services. Investment advisory services offered through Kalos Capital Incorporated.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios. This is 107.5 The Game.
Discover Herndon Certified. Herndon Chevrolet's premier used car warranty. Shop with complete confidence knowing Herndon Chevrolet has got you covered.
Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile.
It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour, presented by Firehouse Subs.
Founded by firemen with Chris Clark and Wes Mitchell
On the home of the Gamecocks.
107.5 The Game.
Back in on the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour, Tyler Head, Wes Mitchell, and Preston Thorne along with you going until 12 o'clock, you can hit us up on the Love Chevy phone lines, 803-404-6100. Same number for the Firehouse Subs text line. Speaking of Firehouse Subs, it's Tuesday, and that means there's a sub of the day waiting for you at Firehouse Subs. Wes, what is on the menu today?
Yeah, one of my favorite ones is actually the turkey bacon ranch. I'm a ranch fiend. Anything that has ranch on it, I'm here for. Except maybe salad. Not a big salad guy, but put ranch on anything else, and I'm here for it. You can do that at FirehouseSubs.com. You hit the rapid rescue. I like to order mine in the app because there are so many Firehouse locations in the Columbia area. When I leave the studio, you can actually put it into the app. It's going to tell you exactly how long it's going to take for it to be ready. I go right by the one on Garner's Ferry. I run in, I grab it, and then I'm right back at my house in no time at all. So the efficiency of getting a sub that is also toasted and tastes amazing, is hot. I get the Harvest Cheddar Sun Chips as my side, and I'm good to go. But Turkey Bacon Ranch is your sub of the day today, which means you get a special discount on that. But you can order it, Tyler, any day of the week.
Absolutely. I got to ask, what about a salad is off-putting for your ranch taste?
I mean, I'm just not a salad guy.
Okay.
I mean, sandwich and ranch, yes. Wings and ranch, pizza and ranch.
I thought you were just like ranch on everything, but
no. It was the salad aspect of. I'm not a salad fan. The
That's
only time I get a salad will be if I get a side salad with a meal, just to keep me from eating fries.
Okay, that's smart.
You know what I mean?
Hold yourself accountable.
Yes. But I still probably don't eat the whole salad. But it's just, I know if the fries are there, if they're like, you have to get a side, and I'm trying to eat a little more healthier,
yeah,
I'll get a salad.
All right, we learned something today. Wes Mitchell, not a fan of salads.
Did not know that.
Yeah. Just not a fan at all.
Looking at the Firehouse Subs text line, continuing on our conversation in reference to Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes. Anonymous texter says, I think comparing Burrow and Kurt Warner isn't far-fetched. Kurt didn't run, but if you look at both their pocket presence, the way they move in the pocket's very similar, and that they didn't have the best arm, but is very accurate. I think that's a really good point. You would not say Joe Burrow has the strongest arm in the NFL, but his accuracy is very, very good. There's a big difference there.
Yeah, and he, he again, like I said earlier, he's a guy who can sling it from all angles. And Kurt Warner, as you think about it, I feel like, was maybe one of the few guys at that time that didn't necessarily have always the perfect mechanics as he released the football.
They would say that was due to him playing in the Arena League and having to get passes off at different weird angles. So
yeah.
There's something there for sure. And as I said, I don't know if it's a comp, but if he can beat Kurt Warner, that'd be great for his career for sure.
Well, and on side note here, wasn't Kurt Warner on those Rams teams? Wasn't that kind of the first instance of the West Coast offense really kind of coming into the NFL for the greatest show on turf?
They had always had the West Coast offense. They did a little something different with.
They were more down the field too, right?
They were more vertical, and Marshall Faulk was the one that made that whole thing go.
Gotcha.
Being a receiver that a running back that wouldn't just get, out routes or things like that. He would take the thing, push it vertically, and really made you cover that other guy. So they really put a lot of pressure on defenses going up the field.
I was, 4 or 5 years old when this was happening, so
Exactly.
I had to ask you guys for their perspective on that.
I saw the greatest show on turf play in Charlotte against the Panthers. I don't know what year that would have been. The Rams won, but they were just. I remember some of the throws he made, and they were down the field. Incredibly impressed. I mean, Kurt Warner had a stretch. It was so weird because he came into the league later in his career, but he had a stretch where it was one of those rare occasions where you have the perfect fit of quarterback, system, some weapons around him. Like Preston said, with
potentially 4 Hall of Famers around him.
Yep.
Ozzie Bruce, Torrey Holt, Marshall Faulk, obviously, Orlando Pace. Anybody remember this guy? That's when you get into this conversation of, obviously none of these things happen in a vacuum. You're always going to need to have a guy with some tools and some people to throw the ball to. So there is something to that. I think Joe's more athletic for sure, but if he was to ever just be compared to Kurt Warner, I'm sorry if you said to Joe, "Hey, listen, you can go from here and you can have Kurt Warner's career." I'm sure he'd be like, yeah, that's it. I'll take it.
We got anything else on the
let's see what we got
on
here.
the text line?
All right.
Any anonymous texters today?
Quite a few, and I think everybody that's weighed in so far has been an anonymous texter. Kind of relating back to Gamecock things. This is the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour. I have an anonymous texter that asks you this question in reference to these commit announcements, and we do have the one coming up today at 12:05. Do you wear like Gamecock gear, or you kind of stay incognito in case things go the other way? I imagine you probably wear something like Gamecock Central related to these type of things, right?
Yeah. I mean, if we go cover it, we're not there like cheering. We're not jumping up and down when they pick South Carolina. It's really more, it's like a professional courtesy thing. You go either Gamecock Central gear or just nothing. Just regular clothes, basically. I don't even know if I own any actual South Carolina stuff.
Which, from
anymore.
a professional standpoint, that's a really good thing. I don't know how it was when you were in college, but in my sports journalism program, they had a strict no logos policy. It didn't care if it was the school you went to or not. No sports affiliations of any kind could be shown while you're at least in the classroom environment or covering a game, obviously.
Yeah, that's what they teach you. There's a little bit more leeway, I feel like, these days, especially when you're talking about working for like a fan site. So everybody knows I went to South Carolina.
Right.
At the same time, you don't want to let that affect, necessarily what you're writing.
Sure.
And when you're talking about talking to recruits, it's just more, it's a terrible look if you were to go up to try to interview a prospect and you're trying to get their actual thoughts on something, and then you're just decked out in Gamecock gear. Like, it's just, you're not going to get accurate quotes. It's a bad look. And we actually, at one point, I don't know if it's still the case, I probably should know this. At one point, it was actually in our contracts that you cannot wear team specific gear. Actually, at any point, I think.
Really? So even if you were out at Walmart or whatever?
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that's smart. Again, it is a job. There's professionalism to it. The common saying is there's no cheering in the press box, because you're there to do a job, whether you're writing for the team or not. Like, it's still, you're kind of supposed to be straight down the middle with it.
Yeah.
Objective is the word.
Yeah, definitely. So, good question. I like the random questions on the text line there. But yeah, and the announcement you're referring to is Michael Smith, 4-star tight end, coming up at 12:05 for those who missed it earlier in the show. Big time prospect. Final 3: South Carolina, Arkansas, Ohio State. Preston, you got some thoughts circulating over there?
Not on that at all.
Or some questions? Oh, something completely different.
Yeah,
what you got? I saw like a light bulb come on.
Yeah. Well, you know how they have the award shows, and sometimes if they know they're not getting an award, they'd be like, "Oh, Wes Mitchell's not here to receive this award today." How does Gamecock Central make the judgment on whether or not they're going to travel to these announcements?
Oh, I love this one, because people, it's become a thing on our message board. Hey guys, are you going? Because they know
it's pretty good indication.
If we're there, it means pretty much 90% that South Carolina is going to get the guy, or that it's a big time enough. Like, we probably will send somebody to Nicholas Harbor, and we probably won't know ahead of time on him. So, there will be a case, and we will have to be like, look, guys, we're going, but we do not know. And if people, not that we would say the other side, like, oh, we know where he's going, but if somebody says, are y'all going? We're like, we're definitely planning to be there. Wink, sunglasses emoji, thumbs up,
So those people can tell them that they have inside sources that say that person's going to commit to South Carolina.
Yeah, so I think with a guy like Harbor, though, it's more like, all right, guys, we're going because he's a top 30 player in the country. He's a 5-star priority target, and it would be very dumb from a business standpoint if he commits to South Carolina and we're not there.
Has that happened? Has that ever burned y'all by thinking somebody's not going to commit and then they commit? No, nobody's there.
It has happened. I'm thinking of one time in particular. The funny thing was, the guy, our Georgia site was there.
Okay.
And I cannot remember the name of this kid. He was a JUCO DB, and he was supposed to go to Georgia. He ended up committing to South Carolina.
Okay.
And he ultimately ended up at Georgia anyway. So it was like a complete surprise. Like from what we heard, even the Carolina coaches were shocked that they got him. But these days, so much stuff is on social media.
Right.
Even if you're not there, you can make it work. You find a way.
Sure.
But there was a time when you needed to be there if you were going to get any coverage from it. But we still like to when we can, especially if it's a somewhat local guy. I mean, Savannah's not a bad drive. Going to Woodland on Sunday, I made the trip down there. It's not a bad drive at all. So the more local it is, the more likely we'll be there. But yeah, we've been burned. There are still fans that give me, you know what, because I was there when Drew Barker committed to Kentucky. And that was literally a situation where it was like, all right, it's 4-star quarterback. South Carolina's been in it for the longest. If he commits to Carolina, we need to be there. Sure. By the time, I literally woke up that morning in Kentucky, and we had heard he's going to Kentucky. But it's like, well,
already here.
Might as well go just in case there's some random surprise. But it is funny how many people will track, like, hey, are you going? Or that's the thing now. Well, I tweeted just a picture of my GPS going to Woodland on Sunday on Twitter, and it's like a thing.
I gotcha. Let's take a quick timeout. I do have a question relating to this on the other side that I want to get to your perspective on in terms of dealing with these high school recruits. You're listening to the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour on 107.5 The Game. Tyler, Wes, and Preston along with you. We'll be right back.
It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour, presented by Firehouse Subs.
Founded by firemen with Chris Clark and Wes Mitchell.
On the home of the Gamecocks.
107.5 The Game.
Plus tax entitled to approved credit call 866-243-4623 for details. Listen closely. JT's Jeep Ram is selling new Wranglers $5,000 below MSRP. $5,000 off on a new Wrangler. Grand Cherokee's now $5,000 below MSRP. And the best part, new Rams. Savings up to $10,000. That's $10,000 off a new Ram. Credit concerns? When other dealers say no, JT says you're approved. Hurry, only through the end of the month. JT's Jeep Ram Lexington, jtsjeepram.com. Start something new sales event.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop, opt out. Go to nomoredraftywindows.com for full offer details.
Attention all homeowners. Do you know when to replace your windows? Feeling too hot or cold? It's time to replace. Fog between the glass? Time to replace. Spending too much on expensive energy that literally goes out the window? It's definitely time to replace. If you've put off replacing windows in your home because it's too expensive, here's great news. You can now get a free in-home window consultation and free price quote from Renewal by Andersen, the company with the most 5-star reviews among leading full-service window replacement companies. And right now you can save $359 off every window and $887 off every door. Just text WINDOW to 200-300 for your free consultation on top quality affordable windows or patio doors for $0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest for a year. That's right, you don't pay a dime for an entire year. Plus save $359 off every window and $887 off every door. But hurry, these big dollar savings end this month. Text WINDOW to 200-300 right now. Text the word WINDOW to 200-300. Don't wait, text WINDOW to 200-300.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop, opt out.
My drinking had become a problem. Too many nights waking up at 3 a.m., sweating, head pounding, self-loathing, and anxiety hitting me hard. Thinking, how did I do this again? What's wrong with me? Why can't I stop?
If you're finally ready to stop drinking completely or just want to drink less, naltrexone could help you. Naltrexone is an FDA-approved medication that reduces cravings and pleasure from drinking, making it easier to drink less or quit alcohol altogether, and you can see improvement almost immediately. Whether your challenges with alcohol are mild, moderate, or severe, or health makes it simple to get started with treatment, just text BEST to 323232 to get a secure link to our private online assessment. One of our licensed medical professionals will evaluate your assessment, and if medication is right for you, prescribe it directly online. We'll deliver your prescription right to your front door. No doctor's office visits required. You really can stop drinking or just drink less. Text BEST to 323232 to get started today. Text the word BEST to 323232. Text BEST to 323232.
Hey guys, Jay Phillips here for Integrated Media. You know, in today's world where technology seems to be moving more quickly than ever, it can get a little confusing on exactly what product might be best for you. And just like your car or house, every every so often you need to tune up or quick repair. Integrated Media knows this, and that's why they've introduced their Smart Service Plan. With just one click or call, you can let the crew at Integrated Media know your issue, question, or problem, and usually within minutes, they'll respond with a fix and get you and your family back to watching your favorite teams and shows, listening to your favorite tunes, or playing your favorite games. Additionally, the Integrated Media Smart Service Plan provides customers with regular check-ins to make sure things are running smoothly. Plus, they'll automatically upgrade software so you don't have to worry about whether you're up to date. Integrated Media staff has all the tools necessary to keep your system out front of the ever-changing landscape. Home theater, commercial-grade Wi-Fi, and the service to keep it running smoothly. That's what sets Integrated Media apart from everyone else. 803-948-8327 and online at integratedmediainc.com. Integrated Media, watch, listen, control.
Hey, this is Ray
and Mary Ann with Absolute Glass.
We've been blessed to serve the Midlands glass needs for 20 years.
We have been fortunate enough to help thousands of customers with the best glass service in town, in our store, and all over the Midlands.
Sure, we can fix your windshield, usually at no cost to you.
But at Absolute Glass, we can also care for all your other glass needs too.
Home windows, shower doors, tabletops, shelving, storefronts, and all your commercial needs.
Contact us at 803-951-7200 or at AbsoluteGlassInc.com.
Just remember, if you can see through it, we can do it.
It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour, presented by Firehouse Subs.
Founded by firemen with Chris Clark and Wes Mitchell
On the home of the Gamecocks.
107.5 The Game.
Back in the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour on 107.5 The Game. Tyler Head, Wes Mitchell, and Preston Thorne along with you. You can hit us on the Firehouse Subs text line 803-404-6100. Same number for the Love Chevy phone lines. I teased this on the other side of the break. I want to ask Wes this question. I've always thought about this. Like, if I was a high school recruit, and I clearly wasn't, not that great of an athlete, but I've always man, I would do everything I could to keep where I was going as tight-lipped and as secretive as I could and surprise everyone. Is that even possible anymore? Because when you look at any recruit on whatever recruiting site you go on, there's always a crystal ball prediction. He's 80% of this place, 100% of this place. We have a general idea. We may not know the exact place. And, you have the announcements where it's down to 3 or 4 schools. And a lot of these guys are very active on social media with kind of narrowing down their finalists. But do you know of any recruiter can think of anybody that was just so wide open you had no clue where he was going?
Yeah, it still happens. It is not, it doesn't happen often, but it does happen. And generally you're talking about a lot of times it's with a recruitment where it has come down to the absolute wire.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe the schools involved don't know maybe even the kid himself doesn't completely know. So it's kind of a down to the wire thing and nobody finds out. Generally, if an announcement has been set for a while, and it's one of those things where a kid's kind of known for a while, it ultimately gets out, and that can happen any number of ways as far as how it does leak out there. But it still happens. It's just not that common, I would say. But kids do try to game the system and try and build suspense, and inevitably the fans buy into it, I think, and it's a little bit of a game to it.
So Preston, if Twitter was around back in your days of recruitment, how would you have handled your process? Tomorrow at 11 a.m., I'm announcing my top 5. Be ready for it, guys. Would you have been one of those kind of guys?
Top 15.
Top 15.
I would have listed everybody I got a letter from. Top 25. I just would have narrowed it down. Top 20. Narrowed it down. Handwritten letters. I probably wouldn't have been that. That's not my thing, but I can see the appeal of it, because even as we stated yesterday, I had some friends who had sons that were going through the recruiting process.
Right.
And they said that when their child posted their offer on Twitter, like you said, automatically 3 other coaches started calling, and they actually ended up going to one of the schools that offered after.
Right.
It's just how the game is played. It's strategic.
Right,
yeah,
right.
It's a game now.
These days, I would 100% be doing that, because now, let's play this out. NIL.
Oh yeah.
A lot of it is based on how many followers do you have? How has your brand been built on Twitter? Like, I in some ways don't like that it's necessarily come to that, but if I was a prospect, I would be paying attention to that. And these guys that have been able to build, now you have to be a good enough football player that people care to hear about what you're doing.
Right.
But nowadays guys have like, there's graphics now where it'll be like first 5. And that's like, here's the first 5 offers I got. Anytime a kid cuts it to 15, that's, we don't do stories for you cut it to a 15. Like that's a rule.
First 15.
A cut to 5, that's because if you have a top 15, you don't have a top 15. Nobody has a top 15.
Well, let me ask you this then. If you see 5, is it really probably 3 or 2?
Usually, yes. Or if you see a 5 leading into an announcement, sometimes it's 1, and that's just hey, here's my finalist. And sometimes a 5 is just sort of, hey, it's almost like these are the coaches and schools that have been there with me. It's almost like a shout out, like, hey, I'm not picking that school, but they deserve to be on my list. And so sometimes a 5, especially an early on 5, is truly hey, here's my top 5, but it's really probably more like 2 or 3. And then sometimes a top 5 is like, all right, I'm about to pick South Carolina, but these are my finalists, and these are the coaches I like the most. These are the schools that have been there from the beginning. Or in some cases, Alabama looked at me once, so let me put Alabama on this list.
Alabama came by the school.
It's you make a show out of it, right? It's if you want people to come, if you want it to be covered, make it interesting. I get that.
You got to.
Go ahead.
I was about to say you don't have to, but in some guys' eyes, they absolutely have to.
So what's the most, because some guys make announcements in very unique ways with animals or children or, I don't know, piñatas. Well, what's the most elaborate way you've seen somebody announce a commitment?
It was your boy. It was your team. The running back that pulled the live puppy bulldog.
Isaiah Crowell.
Yes. I was trying to find his name real quick.
Yeah, that was
one of the better ones.
That was 2011.
Yeah, that was one of the better ones because that was on national TV too.
Yes,
I think.
It was.
And
I do remember that.
He had a bulldog puppy that he pulled out. I haven't seen anybody pull a chicken out yet.
I think
Lee Corso style.
I don't remember who this was. I feel like they ended up picking Florida, but I think it was a recruit that had like a child, like a 1 or 2 year old that like crawled and grabbed whatever hat or whatever it was.
Man. That's a dangerous game because you never know which way they're going.
I guess it was that wide open. Like, all right, I'll let the baby pick, and wherever they choose, I'm gonna go.
Yeah, that's I would love to see a recruit who couldn't make up their mind actually just pull something out of a hat. Oh, we're gonna all find out. We're all find out together.
Dartboard.
Yeah,
dartboard. Get all the teams like evenly spaced, blindfold, throw it wherever it lands. You're going.
Hey, I'll tell y'all one that I was at and was actually really cool. Tell you the person you maybe wouldn't have thought at the time would be pulling tricks. But Marcus Lattimore.
Oh.
So this thing's in a church, right? Even, I swear the preacher was in on this thing because the preacher in his prayer beforehand said something to the tune of, we're going to support Marcus whether we like his decision or not.
Ooh.
And like was foreboding, I guess. And then he has Stephen Davis.
Oh.
Former Auburn running back and his mentor. Stephen Davis comes out, hands him a box, a bag, whatever. I don't remember what it was in. And then Marcus reaches in, pulls out an Auburn hat, lets it be seen that it's an Auburn hat. And then as he goes to put it on his head, the Gamecock hat is tucked in the Auburn hat and puts on the Gamecock hat all in one motion.
That's awesome.
And then Sandstorm plays in the church.
Wow. Bravo. That's a good one.
I got another one.
Okay.
This year, my man Marquis Anderson.
Brock on the text line actually just brought that one up. I was going to mention it. Yes, the pancake. Was that in a church too?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yes. I thought so.
I was at that one. Shout out to Lance, Marquis' stepdad. He actually owns a 365 Grilling and Seafood business in Spartanburg area.
All right.
He cooked for us all. And I'm telling you, phenomenal. And it was one of those things, the other media guys that were there. So Lance is like, hey guys, like we got food in the back. Y'all better get a plate before you go. They're like, oh, no, thank you. No, thank you.
You think it's just going to be like regular, media food or whatever?
Yeah. And Lance says, guys, we got food in the back. If you want some. And I'm like, guys, y'all are insulting him by not. Like they're trying to be polite. And I'm like, no, he wants you to eat this food because it's going to be amazing. And sure enough, we had steak, fried chicken, potato salad, mac and cheese, dessert.
He threw down on the grill.
Oh, he does. Shout out 365 Grill. And they used to have a food truck. Now he has a brick and mortar store in Spartanburg. Brick and mortar restaurant, not store. That was, but yeah. So for those who didn't see, he had pancakes.
Yes,
and he had the logos of the schools on the pancake syrup, and then he grabbed the Gamecock.
That was an official one.
Yeah, that was very, very creative.
That was great.
Food. I like food type of announcements. I feel like those should be done more.
Food should be involved in everything.
Maybe like you have a cake that has like a helmet inside of it, and you gotta like break into the cake and pull it out.
Yeah, if you go into LSU, especially coming around it's around Mardi Gras time, you can pull out instead of the baby out of the king cake, you pull out a helmet.
Oh, even better. Pull a a helmet out of a Low Country Boil.
There you go. Is he going out for the potatoes or something? It's like, oh, look what I found. Not a potato.
Well, I like the fact that for that one, again, his family very involved in the whole food scene. And the fact he's an offensive lineman with pancakes. Like there was such depth, I feel like.
It made a lot of sense.
To those decisions of we're going to do food, we're going to do pancakes. It was pretty perfect.
Yeah, that one made a lot of sense. I appreciate the humor of the pancake with that one.
Yeah.
And now he's going to have to come to school and stop eating pancakes.
They say you can't eat those anymore.
The last pancakes he's going to eat till he hits his weight goal.
Hope you enjoyed your commitment day. You're not eating those for another 4 years.
Gamecock Ryan on YouTube said, this is talking about Marcus. He says, I think the whole church gasped when the Auburn hat came out. True.
Now, see, there was probably an old lady in the back that like passed out or something like that. Why are you going to do that to her, Marcus?
What you said is so interesting because obviously knowing what we know of Marcus now, that's not the person you would have said would have been pulling those type of theatrics. So that's really funny.
He had to get his nonsense out of the way before he got here.
I think that's what made it so effective too. I remember doing a radio spot and somebody saying, hey, is this going to be one of those hat flip things? And I said, no,
it's not this guy.
Not at all. And then, I mean, I knew it was going to be South Carolina. And when I saw the Auburn hat come out, I was like, oh, it's happening. And then, of course, play Sandstorm.
All these years later. Shout out to Marcus.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll hit one more break before we wrap up today's. If you have any other interesting recruit commitment stories, hit us on the text line, 803-404-6100, the Firehouse Subs text line. We'll be back to wrap up today's edition of the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour. I'm Tyler, that's Wes, and Preston on the other side. You're listening to 107.5 The Game.
It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour, presented by Firehouse Subs.
Founded by firemen with Chris Clark and Wes Mitchell.
On the home of the Gamecocks.
107.5 The Game.
Hey, why not try something extreme and exciting this year, like zorbing?
Oh, dizzy? Ouch. Really dizzy?
Or maybe something really adventuresome, like human catapulting. Or maybe just try eating extremely good pizza from the Mellow Mushroom Pizza Bakers. We start with hand-tossed spring water dough, add the freshest ingredients, and bake it all on the stone. Now that's exciting and extremely delicious. The Mellow Mushroom, in the Vista and on Sunset in Lexington.
Wow, 2022 flew by, but I sure am ready for 2023. My favorite way to start the new year is to make my home feel like new with Zerez carpet and air duct cleaning. Only Zerez uses the advanced, patented process with ZR water for superior, long-lasting clean. Right now, get 3 rooms of carpet clean for only $119 plus. Mention me, Bill Gunner, at 107.5 The Game, and you'll get a hallway cleaned for free. Easily schedule your cleaning online at ZerezColumbia.com.
Attention all golf and sports club enthusiasts. Are you looking for a top-notch family-focused facility in the Midlands? Look no further than the Windermere Club. Our 18-hole Peep Dye golf course is legendary and well-maintained. Our indoor-outdoor tennis
It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour, presented by Firehouse Subs.
Founded by firemen with Chris Clark and Wes Mitchell
On the home of the Gamecocks.
107.5 The Game.
Back in on the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour, 107.5 The Game. Tyler, Wes, and Chris along with you on your Tuesday. A few more minutes to go, wrapping up here. Looking at the Firehouse Subs text line, Eric weighs in, said he didn't hear our whole conversation, but brings up that there was a recruit that took the paperwork, a recruit whose mom took their paperwork and ran with it so he wouldn't sign with another school. I remember this story.
Is that LSU?
I think it might have been LSU. I can't remember which recruit it was, but I remember hearing or seeing the commitment or the story about it.
Come on, Mom.
There was also the this was one of the All-American games where the mom was in all like Alabama gear and he committed to LSU and she got up and walked away like mad about it.
I do remember that.
We've seen some ticked off moms before. Mama knows best most of the time.
Maybe.
Most of the time, but I feel like at some point, Mom, you just gotta let it be. Especially if we're on TV.
Yeah.
We can talk about this at home.
That was a little more on the nose. Like, okay, well, I guess he's clearly gonna pick Alabama now. When he picked LSU, she like grabbed her purse and stormed off.
Peace out. In all seriousness, though, we'll give a little plug here. Go to Gamecock Central in about 5 minutes. We'll have this stream. I am testing the capabilities here of this laptop. We're still streaming this show, and we're about to be streaming the announcement from Calvary Day School in Savannah. Very nice setup, actually. Got the little media backdrop there. A purple, sort of purple logoed sheet across the table, a little helmet, little football, American flag. Excellent setup for the announcement.
Yeah, those schools, I mean, schools now go all out, whether they're in the gym or the auditorium. They always like to have a, because it ends up being a photo op or, the video ends up circulating. So I feel like the schools always do a good job of making it look good and presentable because that's, it's a reflection on your school as well. Not only to have the athlete going to a big time college football program, but making sure he looks good doing it.
Yeah, definitely. And, it's important for the whole community, the whole school. And you can tell it's taken seriously. And it looks like we are in the gym for this one. I believe there's actually somebody in the background playing basketball right now. So they're probably about to get yelled at. But Again, we'll have complete coverage. Gamecock Central.
Well, I think that's a perfect way to wrap up today's show so Wes can get out there and make sure the stream is up and running for that announcement coming up in just a few minutes at 12:05.